Breaking the taboo, a deeper look at the psychology of intimacy. When it comes to intimacy, especially oral sex, let's be honest, it's often treated like a joke, a dirty secret, or just something people whisper about behind closed doors. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Why is something so personal, so powerful, reduced to gossip or giggles? Beneath the surface, there's a rich psychological world at play, one that goes far beyond physical pleasure. You see, oral sex is not just about what happens to the body. It also reveals so much about what's going on in the mind and the heart. How someone approaches it with comfort, with anxiety, or avoiding it altogether can speak volumes about their self-image, their emotional needs, and how they truly connect to their partner. It's like holding up a mirror to your own vulnerabilities. Research shows that intimacy like this triggers emotional responses far deeper than the fleeting moment itself. Hormones like oxytocin, cultural conditioning, a sense of safety, even childhood experiences, they all shape how we feel and how we behave in these intimate moments. So next time you think of it as just physical, I invite you to pause. Ask yourself, what does it say about you, about your partner? And how can understanding this hidden psychology bring more trust, more connection, and even more healing into your relationship? Asterisk, the hidden power of hormones, how intimacy builds emotional bonds. One of the most fascinating and least talked about truths about oral sex is how it actually strengthens emotional bonds between partners. You might think it's just a physical act, but your brain and body know better. Here's why. During intimate moments like this, your body releases oxytocin, often called the love hormone. You've felt it before. It's the same chemical that floods your system when you hug someone you trust, when a mother holds her newborn, or when you share a deeply romantic moment. Oxytocin has one job: to help you feel safe, close, and connected. That's why couples who regularly engage in intimate, non-penetrative acts like oral sex often report higher satisfaction in their relationships. They communicate better, they empathize more. And it's not just about the act itself, it's about the vulnerability it requires, the focus on your partner, and the willingness to truly be present. Have you ever noticed how these quiet, attentive moments can feel more meaningful than anything else? That's the power of oxytocin at work. It turns a private experience into a kind of emotional ritual, a way of saying, I see you, I trust you, I choose you. So the next time you think intimacy is just about pleasure, remember this: your body is trying to tell you something deeper, that love and connection are chemical, emotional, and beautifully human. Asterisk, what your approach to intimacy says about you: insecurities, validation, and lovelet. Let me ask you something personal. When you give or receive oral sex, what's really going through your mind? Is it love, excitement, or maybe a little anxiety? You might be surprised to learn that how someone approaches oral sex can reveal a lot about their emotional state, their insecurities, and even their need for validation. For some people, it's a gift, a way of expressing love and devotion. For others, it's more complicated. Sometimes it's about proving their worth, feeling desirable, or hiding a deeper sense of inadequacy. And then there are those who feel uncomfortable receiving it at all. That discomfort often comes from something deeper: fear of being vulnerable, worries about body image, or even shame from past experiences or upbringing. You see, our sexual behaviors are often reflections of our emotional blueprints. A person who anxiously tries to please might secretly be craving approval. Someone who avoids intimacy may be protecting themselves from feelings of exposure. Understanding this in yourself or your partner is powerful. It's not just about arousal, it's about what we're really giving or guarding. So the next time you notice hesitation, yours or theirs, pause. Ask yourself, what are we really feeling here? With compassion and open conversation, intimacy becomes not just safer, but more honest and profoundly connected. Asterisk, why men and women often see intimacy differently and why it matters here. Something that surprises a lot of people. Men and women often interpret oral sex in very different ways, and those differences can quietly shape a relationship. For many men, receiving oral sex feels like a powerful affirmation. It tells them they're wanted, admired, even respected. It boosts their confidence and their sense of worth, almost like hearing someone say, "You matter to me." But for women, the experience is often much more layered. Some women feel deeply connected and cared for when they receive it, but others feel self-conscious, anxious, or pressured to perform or repay the favor. This mismatch can lead to misunderstandings. One partner may see it as a simple, joyful expression of desire, while the other experiences it as emotionally loaded, tangled with feelings about trust, body image, or even fear of judgment. And we can't forget, cultural, religious, and even family upbringing play huge roles. If someone grew up in an environment where sexuality was shameful or secretive, that discomfort doesn't just disappear. It follows them into adulthood, shaping how vulnerable they feel and how much that they can let go in moments of intimacy. That's why open, shame-free conversations matter so much. They close the gap between assumptions and reality, between what we mean and what our partner actually feels. So here's a question for you. When was the last time you asked your partner, really asked how they feel about this? That one honest conversation could change everything. The unexpected mental health benefits of intimacy and why context matters. This next insight might surprise you because it surprised me too. Did you know that oral sex can actually offer some short-term mental health benefits? Believe it or not, semen contains natural compounds like dopamine, serotonin, and melatonin, chemicals your brain already uses to regulate mood, sleep, and emotional balance. In trusted, emotionally safe relationships, intimacy can act almost like a gentle lift for your spirit, reducing anxiety, calming your mind, and leaving you with a sense of peace. But here's the catch. Context is everything. When intimacy happens in an environment of trust, mutual respect, and consent, these effects can feel like cuddling after a long day or going for a run. That warm, contented glow that reminds you you're safe and valued. On the other hand, if you feel pressured, unsafe, or disconnected, the exact same act can do the opposite, increasing anxiety, even leading to regret. That's why it's so important to tune in, both to yourself and to your partner, and make sure that what's happening is something you both truly want. So next time you think of intimacy as just physical, remember your body and mind are deeply connected. In the right setting, it's not just pleasure, it's chemistry, comfort, and care. And isn't that what we're really craving? Not just a moment of escape, but a moment of being seen, safe, and loved. Why consent and choice are at the heart of a healthy, intimate experience there. One more truth we need to talk about, and it might just be the most important of all. The level of consent and choice you feel during intimacy doesn't just affect your experience in the moment. It shapes how you see yourself and your relationship afterward. Research shows that when intimacy is a choice, when you feel you're participating because you want to, not because you feel pressured, it actually builds confidence, trust, and emotional closeness. That sense of agency is powerful. It tells your mind, I matter, my voice counts, I can set boundaries and still feel loved. On the flip side, when someone goes along with intimacy out of obligation or fear of rejection, it can leave them feeling disconnected, anxious, or even resentful. I've heard people say things like, I just didn't want to disappoint them, or I felt like I owed them. And those feelings can quietly damage the bond over time. That's why open conversations about what you want, what you're comfortable with, and when you're ready, are not just ethical, they're deeply psychological. They create a space where intimacy becomes a gift, instead of a transaction. So here's a thought. When was the last time you reminded your partner and yourself that it's okay to say yes or no? That choice is what keeps intimacy honest, healthy, and truly meaningful. Intimacy is more than desire. It's who we are. So here's what all of this really comes down to. Intimacy, especially something as vulnerable and personal as oral sex, is never just about physical pleasure. It's about so much more. It's about trust, vulnerability, the courage to let someone see you exactly as you are. It reveals pieces of your identity, your confidence, your emotional history, and even your need to feel seen, valued, and loved. When we approach these moments mindfully, with respect and awareness, they can become powerful opportunities to deepen our connection, to heal old wounds, and to grow closer than ever before. But when intimacy is clouded by shame, silence, or misunderstanding, it can also create distance and confusion. That's why the way forward starts with honesty with yourself and with your partner. Being willing to talk about what you feel, what you need, and what makes you feel safe turns intimacy into something far greater than a physical act behind closed doors. What really happens is not just desire, it's humanity. It's two people daring to say, I trust you enough to let you in. And when you start seeing intimacy through that lens, not as a secret or a transaction, but as a reflection of who you are, you open the door to deeper empathy, self-acceptance, and love that lasts.